Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over some SAT math, specifically circle equations. But before I get started, if you wouldn't mind liking my video and also subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you'll know when I add new SAT math videos. So in this time I'm going to be going over circle equations and some tips. If you run into them, and you will run into them because they are on the SAT very often, some tips on what do you do, okay, and depends on what they give you as far as how to approach it. So you know you've done these equations before in school, but you don't always get to use Desmos Calculator. So that's one thing that I'm going to be showing you on here, okay. And so here's an example. This problem asks, it gives you equation x plus 4 squared plus y minus 19 squared equals 121, and the graph of the equation is a circle in the xy plane. The point AB is on the circle. Which of the following is a possible value of A? Okay, so as I say down there, use Desmos graph. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with graphing conics, and you can actually, which is circle, you can do this without solving for y like you have to do on the TI-84 graphing calculators. So you can just type this in exactly the way it is, and it'll allow you to visualize what's going on here. So once we can see it, then we can find out which is a possible value for A. So again, of course, A is standing for an x coordinate on the circle somewhere. So here we have Desmos, and notice I'm just typing this right in exactly as it is. You've got a parentheses there, right? You've got a letter X. I'll put in the X, and then I'll put in the minus 4 parentheses, and you just hit that little, see the button that's A to the squared. That means you're going to square that parentheses. Then you're going to go plus. You got another parentheses. See how there's a letter Y there? Allows you to put in the Y, and this was minus 19 parentheses squared equals, and I'll put in the radius, and then you want to adjust the window there so you can see it. So there we've got our circle graphed, and now I can visualize that very well. And the question was asking, you know, what could A be? In other words, what is a possible x coordinate? Negative 16, negative 14, 11, or 19? Okay, so which one of those is possible? So when I go back and look at my graph, you can see that the circle goes all the way, it goes into the negative region, maybe a little past negative 5, maybe negative 7, and to the right it goes to 15 is the farthest x coordinate to the right. So looking at some of the choices that they're given, you can eliminate the choice A is negative 16. It doesn't go nearly that far, nor negative 14, and D, 19 is too far to the right. So by visualizing it, we can see that choice C, 11 could be an x coordinate. So here's another one where I'm going to plug this into Desmos, which the following equation represents a circle in the xy plane that intersects the y-axis exactly 1 point. Now notice they give you 4 equations. Okay, so to visualize what hits the y-axis, I'm going to go ahead and plug them in. Now it may seem like it's going to take a while, but it really doesn't. Notice how some of them are very similar, so I'm going to have to change a little bit. The first one here, I've got x minus 8 squared plus y minus 8 squared equals 16. Now you graph it, you notice it does not hit the y-axis. I just have to change, the next equation is a little bit different. I just changed the y to a minus 4. Same radius. That does not hit, that hits the x-axis. It does not hit the y-axis. So I know that it's not A and B so far. So I plug in, I had to change now the other choice. They gave me x minus 4, and this time they said that the y was minus 9. And again, they're same radius, so I only had to change a little bit. Now that touches the y-axis. So that is the answer. However, it's really not that hard to plug in the 4th equation just to be sure. Maybe you missed something, maybe there's a mistake, maybe it's a tricky question and 2 things work, or you just never know. And it's not going to take me that long. Just check the 4th one while you're there. You just want to be sure. And again, I don't really have to change very much because the equations are so similar here. So for choice D, it was just plain x squared. And so that means the x coordinate is going to be 0, and then it was y minus 9, same radius, and it verifies that it doesn't hit the y, it hits it twice. Okay, so we know that the answer was that. Here's another one equation where they're giving an equation and they're saying it's circle A. Now circle B is shifted down, and circle A is shifted down 2 units, which of the following represents B. Okay, so I would graph the equation they give us first, the x squared, and then the y minus 1 squared equals 9. Now, someone might jump at this and think that it's actually y minus 3 if you go down 2 units. but that's not how it works. And I put in another video this equation as an example. It's a number 25 out of 27. So it's difficult, meaning it seems easy, but if you get this question and it seems too easy, but you're on near the end of the section where the problems are harder, you miss something, okay? So I put that in a different video. But so here I definitely want to graph this and see what I've got. It's going to Desmos, going to put that equation in, and then I'm going to, from there, I'm going to actually put in, I'm going to show my center. Right now we know the center is at 0, 1. And I can put in separate points, and which is another benefit of putting in Desmos, which you can't do that in your TI-84. And then I'll be able to, I'm actually going to come up with the equation myself and then see if I can match it to the one that is right there. Okay, so I'm putting my equation there, and you can see, move the window a little bit. So there's that circle, and we're going to shift it down to, but again, I want to put in the center. So the center is 0, 1, and see, I can just do parentheses 0, comma 1, and it has the dot. I can put in the shifting down. It's going to shift from 1 down to -1, right? There is my new center. Well, what do you have when you have a center of 0, -1 in a circle with the same radius? Well, remember that h and k are the center. H is 0 and k is -1. So when we graph these, or when we write them, we write, well, x can just be by itself, x squared, because it's 0, plus now it's going to be y plus 1, right? In parentheses squared, because it's a -1 for k. And the radius doesn't really matter here. But see, so the answer, you can see, actually comes out to be d. But again, by graphing it, I made sure I did this right. Because as I said before, some people will just jump at it and go, oh, it was my y minus 1. I'll take away 2 because it goes down vertically, and say, hey, it's y minus 3 in parentheses. But that's not right. So by graphing it, you can really visualize it and make sure that you've got the right graph there. Now, here is one that's pretty tricky because I'm looking at it and I've got an equation, or part of an equation for a circle. See, I've got x minus 2 squared and y minus 9 squared. So I've got my center, but notice that it's got equal to r squared. I don't know the radius here. So how am I going to graph this? Well, they do give me some endpoints there. And you know now that I can put in coordinates, not just an equation. I can put in the coordinates 2, 4 and 2, 14. So you can actually, and using the points, the center is 2, 9, I can use those coordinates, and I'm going to be able to see what the radius would come out to be. Now, sometimes, you know, you would do these on paper in school, but you can do these on Desmos because I know how to plot points here. So that was my center at 2, 9. Now putting in the endpoints, see the endpoints, and then comparing the question. See, there's a center, and now you can see visually, just count to one of the endpoints, either direction. So from the center up, say up to the point above it at the endpoint that's up there at 214. What am I going to do? I'm just going to count from 2,9 up to 214, and that's a distance of 5. So the radius is 5. Okay, so see, that's how you do these. You do use Desmos. I would just do it. It doesn't take long, and you may catch something you wouldn't otherwise. All right, it's helpful for visualizing. Now you know how to plug in the equations with y is in the equation, and you know how to put in when you've got these. When sometimes you just need the coordinate. Okay, so very helpful when we get the x minus h squared plus the y minus k squared equals r squared. That you're going to know what hk is. Sometimes you're going to plug that in, and sometimes you're just going to graph the equation and then see what it looks like. Okay, so you will definitely see circle equations on the test. There's pretty much one on every test. Sometimes they're medium questions, sometimes they might be hard one. But so use this tool when you're taking it, so avoid mistakes and so you can see things very clearly.